Hey smokers, Dragon1 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at WingNuts Temporal Navigator. A couple years ago I uploaded the intro song from this game and the one from its sequel to my YouTube channel, and both of them got a bit of attention from some of the fans of the original game, including the guy who wrote the music for it, Digital Drew. Taking a look at the back of the box here, we have a rather vague description of the story and some descriptions of some of the stuff that's in the game, and a specific mention of a jammin' soundtrack. Yeah, they knew Digital Drew was good. The screenshots on the back aren't very bright, and I can hardly make out what the game even looks like. I guess this was one of those games which you got off the shelf and sorta had to guess what the actual game was gonna be like. The Mac system requirements for the game are just below the specs of my Power Mac G4, so it should run pretty much perfectly, and we'll get to looking at that in a second. I got several comments about how this game doesn't work on new systems anymore, or they lost their games and couldn't find a version online anywhere. Well, as for the game not working, that's not a problem for me, since I have been able to get WingNuts running on almost every operating system I have access to. It runs on Mac OS 9, Mac OS X PowerPC 10.4, and Intel 10.6. Windows 2000, Windows XP, Windows 7, and even Linux Wine. The box definitely doesn't lie, for the most part. It really does run on everything. However, the only operating system it doesn't seem to run on for me is Windows 98. But that could be a problem with my particular installation being messed up or something. And the main problem for Mac users today is that ever since Mac OS 10.7 Lion, Rosetta support is totally dropped, making this game impossible to play on today's Macs. This is probably why some of the fans of the game are sad they can no longer play it. Anyway, due to a good number of fans out there and my slight curiosity in playing the full game, since I only played a demo of it several years ago, I decided to pick this game up and give it a whirl. Now, look, I'm not a game reviewer and I've never reviewed a game before, and I'm not even sure if this would count as a review, but let's get started anyway. To make things easier for me, I recorded the majority of the footage of the game in Windows 7. But we'll see how it plays on each Mac I have in depth, or as much as I can stand, because this game is hard. Before we start though, let's take a look in the game files. If you like the music for the game, which I sure as hell did, you can easily extract it from both the Mac and PC versions of the game easily. That's what I did with the demo version and made my previous WingNuts videos. They're all in MP3 format, so they're ready to enjoy. You can even get at all the sound effects in the game if you rename the DAT files to WAVE. This is when you realize that you may have heard some of these sounds before. Well, that is, if you played older Mac games. I'm not sure exactly where I've heard these, but it was either from Number Munchers or Kid Picks back in 3rd grade or so. Even though this appears to be more popular as a Mac title, it comes with a variety of Windows demos for Freeverse's other games. But we'll get to those in another video. Now, before we even start playing, let's take a look at the menus. You can customize the graphics with presets, change difficulty, basic stuff. There's also an in-depth help system which explains the backstory. The help menu also offers tips, information on items, enemies, and a lot of other game features, including a way to show FPS for us FPS junkies. Yeah, they know who I am. I even disabled VSync in NVIDIA Control Panel to get this game running at over 3000 FPS. You can also hide the game after you pause it, just in case your boss walks in and sees you staring at a black screen. Yeah, the hide game feature only really works in the Mac version, where the hide command actually hides the application, but this unfortunately causes the game to crash when I try to resume it. Going back to the tips section, something quite unusual is said. There is a spoiler for the final boss. Not only about what he looks like, but how to beat him. I mean, that's nice if the boss is totally impossible and no one has ever had any idea on how to defeat him or it, but the description makes it seem like the boss is pretty self-explanatory. But hey, every developer has their way of writing the help file. At least it's there in the first place. Now we get into the game, which is really simple to pick up and play, or at least it seems that way on the first level because you have no preconceived notions of difficulty. You take off from an aircraft carrier which very quickly disappears, leaving you alone in the sky to destroy all the enemy planes from different time periods. When all the planes are destroyed, a boss plane shows up which you have to defeat as well. Then, when it's blown up, you land back on the aircraft carrier and probably phase into some other time period, Final Countdown style. Luckily, the plane is easy to land, unlike some other games. You use your main gun to shoot down enemy planes. Every time you collect a weapon upgrade parachute, your gun increases to the next level, which is more powerful. Eventually you'll fire 2 shots at once, 2 with 1 behind, and so on. Missiles are for taking out specific targets, which allow them to lock on, but also can be fired as dumb rockets for taking out any other air target.
To shoot like that?
Bombs are pretty self-explanatory. They're for taking out both land and naval targets. They land exactly where your crosshair is at the moment you press the button, so it takes some good timing and accuracy to land a direct hit. Most of your enemies will be planes and plane accessories, but there are also things in the sky that are not planes, and things that are not in the sky and also not planes, such as drones, boats, and these bunker radar tower things that shoot at you and make you very sad. Goodies are the parachutes that are floating around the map at all times until you either collect them or shoot them down by accident. They can give you extra fuel, shields, weapon upgrades, and other things that give you extra points. Since they never go away, it's not a good idea to pick up the fuel or shield upgrades too early in a level, since you'll probably need them by the end. But that is, if you don't shoot them while they're off screen and you don't see them screwing yourself over for the rest of the level. If you're big on racking up a high score, which I definitely am not, you get extra score for taking out a formation of planes within a certain time limit, usually just a few seconds. The longer it takes you to break up a formation, the lower your formation bonus will be. Apparently there is a time bonus as well. If you complete the level quickly, you'll get a better score. If you run out of time, you don't get any score bonus. Another bonus is the no refueling bonus. Basically, if you're able to complete a level fast enough so that you don't need to refuel, you'll get the bonus for that too. It goes hand in hand with the time bonus for obvious reasons. You'll definitely want to get your strategy on because there are 30 levels, and with each one the game becomes more and more difficult. And yes, throughout the review I've been playing the game on easy, and I'm still getting my ass kicked more than I'd like! If you haven't noticed already, the game world isn't infinite. When you or an enemy reaches the side of the playing field, you or they wrap around to the other side, just like asteroids. Really a no-brainer, but if you're not careful and don't watch the minimap like a hawk, an escape route can quickly become your doom. Usually the most difficult part of the game are the bosses. This should be a no-brainer yet again, but the issue isn't the bosses themselves per se, since you can just use your minimap and shoot at it while it's off-screen, out of range of its guns. The real difficulty is getting through the main level unharmed. So many times I'll be completely out of shields by the time I get to the boss, making it just a single hit to take me out. And since the game has a live system, I found myself floating on just a single life. If I messed up, I had to do the entire level over again. This could easily be one of the biggest flaws with the game. The early levels are just not interesting or fun enough to make replaying them enjoyable. It can become mundane and monotonous, especially if you're not good at the game. At least you can save your game and there are infinite continues, so you can keep trying to replay the same level until you complete it. Now that we have the majority of the actual gameplay covered, let's look at some of the technical aspects of the game. The explosion particles look great and make it very satisfying to shoot down planes, but on systems that don't meet the system requirements, you could be seeing literal slow motion when some big-time particle effects go off. The ship particles have cute little noises they make when they hit the water too.
I died in slow mo.
Now, since this game is so simple, there's not a whole lot of things I can criticize it about, and it's not entirely fair given this is a 2002 game. But while we're on the subject, okay, running on the original Bondi Blue 1998 iMac, this game doesn't really pull above 30 frames per second. And we're talking a 233 megahertz G3 processor with 120 megabytes of RAM. It doesn't exactly chew through it very good. It is below even the required recommended system requirements for the game, so we can expect some problems, but at least it has music. Now this runs pretty much perfectly on the G4. It's holding above the monitor's refresh rate of 60 pretty much all the time, so We're maxing out at around 190. Now, according to the box, this computer pretty much perfectly fits the recommended system requirements for the game. And this is running natively on Tiger 10.4. Now, this game runs pretty fine on a Mac Pro. Getting a max of about 300 FPS. Right now we're locking down about 250. Pretty much destroys it.
You saved Ian.
Ah, he saved me! Yeah, this runs great on Windows 2000. 130 frame rate? Yeah, killing it, man. Well, on the Windows 2000 laptop with SD card hard disk, that is. The sound effects in the game are pretty weak. Most of them sound like they were from the Click and Play library, and the rest just are as stock as they come. And a few others are recycled from other Macintosh games. The voice acting is obviously subpar, except I think I'm in love with this woman. All the voices were recorded using a 22 kHz sampling rate, making it sound like there's static on every phrase spoken. The background isn't very interesting, and mostly the same repetitive ocean, waves, and occasional mountains. The lack of variation on the open seas reminds me of the first Age of Empires. The blank, repetitive water mass, which only every once in a while would spit out a sound effect for having the camera over the sea. And that menu background. It sure is cool in a Mode 7 sort of way. But if you have vertigo, this might cause you some problems. So all in all, this is a good, solid, plain shooter game seeming to combine both the gameplay style of Asteroids and, well, Galaga or Space Invaders, I guess, given the planes. I could take the time to come up with a more meaningful and accurate comparison, but it's just not worth it. This game is a WYSIWYG for sure. For those of you who want the original game but can't find it anywhere, there's a link in the description to an archived page of Freeverse's website, which, until it was taken down, provided the entire original WingNuts game for free. The file is in DMG format, meaning it probably can only be used on macOS versions 10 through 10.6.8, meaning no classic macOS and no Lion and above. But if you're somewhere in between there, like I was, you can enjoy the game at your own leisure. I hope this was a nostalgic experience for some of you, since I can't really say it was for me, because I've said before, I only played a demo of this game for a short while back in 2007, so the memories are quite vague. Except for that damn menu background, it's mesmerizing. I'll never get that haze out of my head. Almost starts to remind me of Hotline Miami for some reason. Anyways, that's all for now. If you enjoyed this and would like me to cover the sequel, let me know. I'll do it, since I'm very interested in covering that game in particular. Because I know for sure, if only for the music alone, WingNuts comes back with all of its glory.